Part 39. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 381. Without these important cities and towns, the empire would be like water without a source, and one day its reserves would eventually be exhausted. In other words, the empire should soon send a large number of forces to these most important mining areas or villages and towns to carry out various recovery activities, to ensure that the empire's weapons resources can continue to flow. Thinking of this, he thought thoughtfully, to carry out this kind of activity, you will definitely need a huge force. This is a good opportunity. The empire will definitely recruit strong people from outside, and there is a high probability that there will be valuable materials in exchange. Maybe someone from the sect will show up, and then they can steal more skills. Thinking of this, a smile appeared on Lin Yi's lips. He knew what he should do next, he just needed to wait. After thinking for a while, he looked at his phone again and dialed someone's number. Sakuramiya Shirley, the eldest lady of the Sakuramiya family, and there is a sect behind her. Now he urgently needs the knowledge of ghost immortality and thinks of the soul material in his hands. The other party may be very interested. Lin Yi? Why are you free to call me today? Listening to the other party's confused voice, Lin Yi smiled slowly and said, I want to do a business with you. You will definitely be interested. Sakuramiya Shirley's Vinyan frowned. I will definitely be interested in what kind of business you want to do. I have a soul substance in my hand. I wonder if you are interested in it. As the representative of the sect in the Red Lotus Empire, you should know something about soul matter. Sakuramiya Yuri frowned when she heard this, with a hint of surprise on her face. Soul material? You didn't lie to me. Lin Yi nodded. Of course, I won't lie to you. There was still a hint of disbelief in Sakuramiya Shirley's voice. Soul matter, I know what it is. That is the most essential carrier and source of consciousness for any life. Consciousness is born based on the soul material, and the soul is the most fundamental source of all life. But no one has ever been able to extract soul matter. It is something that cannot be bound by any force. You said you have soul material, but I really don't believe it. Lin Yi smiled slightly. I also got this thing through an adventure. The quantity is not large, only 10 pieces. If you are interested, we can discuss the business. Shirley Sakuramiya, who was on the other side of the phone, smiled when she heard this and said, aren't you going to do the ghost exorcism business of your master house? Have you become a businessman instead? Lin Yi chuckled, are you treated specially in special times? Now I have to improve my strength. We are still acquaintances, so I want to do business with you to ease my mind. The business as before will still be carried out. Hearing this, Shirley Sakuramiya smiled crisply. Okay, I'm definitely interested in this thing. But I need to contact the sect first to see what price is more suitable. Lin Yiwenyan smiled and said, we are so familiar, please give me a nice word and the price will be a little higher. It's not easy to get this stuff. I got this batch by chance. Shirley Sakuramiya said in a serious voice, that's not okay. I can't influence the master's thoughts. I can only say that we guarantee a fair deal. Clerk Lin Yi shook his head and said, it seems that I have no choice but to contact other buyers to see who bids the highest price. But if everyone has the same price, I will try my best to choose your side. Shirley Sakuramiya smiled when she heard this. Okay, anyway, the sect wants this thing, and I have no use for it. For you to come to me, I have already made a contribution to the section. Then let's stop here. I'll go and inform the sect first. Saying that, Shirley Sakuramiya had already hung up the phone. Lin Yi thought for a while and made the second call. Mr. Lin, what's the matter? Huang Yiming's voice rang from the other side of the phone. Lin Yi smiled and said, I have a batch of goods in my hand, which are pure soul substances. I wonder if you men in black are interested. Huan Yiming was a little confused when he heard this. What is soul material? Lin Yi immediately knew that Huan Yiming didn't understand what soul matter was. He changed the subject and said, if you don't know, you can ask the minister and the others. They should know what that thing is. I'll probably notify a few buyers and see whoever bids the highest price will sell it to. When Huan Yiming heard this, he immediately knew that the soul material was probably an extraordinary thing, and he had no right to make the decision. He nodded immediately. I understand, Mr. Lin. I will notify the minister and them immediately. Just give me a reply if you have any news. Okay, please don't worry, Mr. Lin. After hanging up Huan Yiming's call, Lin Yi dialed a number again. The person opposite this number was Yan Menjao, who had left her number when he first came to Wanchaiwu. Although Lin Yi had never beaten her. Who? A cold voice sounded. Yan Menjao was still very cold. I'm Lin Yi from Wanchaiwu. Long time no see, Miss Yan Menjao. Yan Menjao was a little surprised when she heard it was Lin Yi. Why did you call me? Is there something wrong? Lin Yi smiled and said, of course something happened. I have a batch of goods here, which are pure soul substances. You people on the weird side should be more interested in this kind of thing, right? Hearing this, Yan Menjao's face suddenly condensed. Soul material? Are you kidding? Lin Yi smiled and said, of course I'm not kidding. I got it by chance. Basically, this is the only chance. The quantity is 10 soul crystals. If you are interested, you can talk about it. By the way, I also notified the man in black and another section you can come to my Wanchaiwu to discuss the price. The highest bidder wins. Yan Menjao thought for a while and said, I will contact the above first. If the people above want it, we will come to trade. Lin Yi's mouth showed a smile. Then I look forward to your reply. After notifying 3 possible buyers in a row, Lin Yi did not continue to look for other buyers. 3 families are enough, representing the weird side, the cultivation path and the empire, covering the 3 most powerful forces known so far. After enjoying his breakfast, Lin Yi sat in front of the French window and looked at the sky quietly. His eyes were filled with the light of the true destiny, and he was observing the energy changes in the sky. This was his long-standing habit, and he would often gain something extra by observing the operation of the world through the true destiny. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 382. You will have a deeper understanding of the characteristics of energy, and even understand some secrets about the world. The true destiny solution not only sees everything, but also understands what it sees. This is the most terrifying part of this mysterious power, observing everything and understanding everything. As time goes by, Lin Yi will see more and understand more. In the end, the knowledge he has mastered may even surpass everyone in this world. Becoming an omniscient existence is the most promising part of the true destiny solution. At this time, he can see the spirituality in the air, which is combined with countless substances, energy, time, and space. The result is that the world seems to come alive, and there is an inexplicable rhythm that spreads to every corner of the world along the spirituality. In this wonderful rhythm, Lin Yi felt his own insignificance, like a speck of dust, which can't stir up a wave in this world. After an unknown period of time, he slowly retracted his eyes, and his whole breath became deeper. His spirit also became more agile, and a faint spirit flowed out from the suspected soul in his consciousness. Blending with his spirit, he felt that his control over spirit seemed to have reached a higher level. In the distant Arctic city, Teng Shenzi sat in his office. He was carefully feeling the changes in his body. A wisp of subtle dragon energy swam in his body and finally merged into his pill. His pill was like a dark black hole at this time, swallowing everything close to it. Even this trace of dragon energy was not rejected. Dragon energy, in this era of the Red Lotus Empire, in fact, all the frontier officials or officials of a certain level have dragon energy in their bodies. But it's just the amount. This is the special feature of the imperial system. In the past feudal empire era, dragon energy belonged to one person, and no one except the sons and grandsons of the dragon could have a trace of dragon energy. And those officials were only shrouded by the dragon energy rewarded by the emperor, and the dragon energy did not belong to them. In simple terms, the country is like a group company. In the past, companies had an emperor who held shares, and all the others just worked for him. Their rights were all granted by the emperor. At most, if they performed well, the emperor would give them some dividend shares, but these shares did not belong to them. As long as the emperor wanted, he could take back these dividend shares at any time. The current imperial system is similar to a collective company, and all shares belong to everyone in the company. No one can take away their shares, although the shares are large or small. Two completely different systems naturally give birth to two completely different effects. At this time, Tang Shenzi, as a frontier official, also came into contact with the existence of dragon energy. Because he had seen the Prime Minister of the Red Lotus Empire, Dong Gong Taiyu, merge dragon energy and essence invisibly last time, he had been trying in this direction. For those who practice Taoism, many things come from not having seen them. As long as they have seen them, they have a direction, and they can try and experiment. And now, it is obvious that he has found some ways to accommodate dragon energy. Time passed slowly, and feeling the last trace of dragon energy in his body being devoured, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. Okay, at my current location, I have already integrated all the dragon energy I can get. The next step is to launch an attack on the position of Prime Minister. Even if I can become the Deputy Prime Minister, it is enough to be promoted all the way to the peak of the earthly immortal way. If I can achieve the position of Prime Minister, there is hope for the highest heavenly immortal way. This is a brand new way of cultivation. As a pioneer, I must be blessed by heaven and earth. And at this moment of catastrophe, I am the one who is born to meet the catastrophe. At this time, Tang Shenzi had a supreme confidence enveloping him, especially after he integrated the dragon energy. He realized many secrets between heaven and earth. The next step is to wait for me to give birth to the body of the earthly immortal way, and then I can really control the entire battlefield. He looked towards the direction of the North Pole, where a huge mushroom cloud fell countless dust, covering an area of hundreds of kilometers. The army, wearing protective clothing, has begun to form a huge defense circle outside the ashes. Gradually countless fortifications. There are millions of troops, and countless state-of-the-art weapons have been moved here. The Red Lotus Empire has almost used up most of its war potential to seal this place. There are even people from the sects and the weird side who came here to block this area. The storm is coming, and it is obvious that the Empire does not think that a sun god can destroy the invasion of the weird existence. This is destined to be a long war, and the Empire has no intention of despising it. Looking at the dense army outside and various war weapons, Tang Shenzi's eyes showed a trace of solemnity. Only when he really stood in the position of the Empire's top leaders did he know how far the current technology has developed. Just taking conventional weapons as an example, unless you step into the earthly immortal path, being surrounded by the army will definitely be death. There is no other possibility. Only when you reach the realm above the earthly immortal path can you ignore the number of people. But this ignore number does not mean that he can kill the enemies besieging him, but that he can enter and exit the battlefield at will, and no one can stop him. But even the people of the earthly immortal Dao or even the heavenly immortal Dao dare not say that they can resist the god of the sun. Such a powerful and terrible weapon, part-time can't imagine why it appears. Tang Shenzi even suspects that even if the people of the heavenly immortal Dao are hit, they will probably die. Although he has never seen what kind of existence the heavenly immortal Dao is. But according to what he knows, he doesn't think that any life form can withstand the large-scale destructive weapon of the god of the sun. Therefore, he is very grateful that the sect chooses to cooperate with the empire and become a member of the empire from the inside. Otherwise, if they really tear their faces with the empire, after a war, I am afraid that only 1 out of 10 of their sects will survive. At this time, the evaluation of the Red Alliance Empire's technology within the sect has risen to the same level of importance. A power system that can rival the cultivation path, although it is the great power of mortals, no one dares to despise it. But this power that belongs to mortals will eventually fall into our hands. After all, people who have entered the practice of cultivation have a long life, which is something that mortals cannot make up for. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Xuanhuan Tianji. Chapter 383. In the future, the sect will return to its peak. It is only a matter of time before it swallows up the entire empire like a frog in boiling water. Thinking of this, a faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Because he discovered a path that no one knows yet. The position of Prime Minister of the Empire is destined to be a complicated job in the future. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow circled M. The real powerful elders and heads of the sects will not care about this kind of work. They will definitely elect a puppet to rule the empire. And this is his opportunity. He will become the agent of the sect and ascend to the position of the supreme ruler of the empire one day in the future. Finally complete the perfect fusion of dragon energy and essence, and create a new way of cultivation. When he ascends to the position of Prime Minister, he will secretly pass down his own cultivation method. Let the officials of the empire practice their own methods and connect with their own destiny, thereby creating a group of immortal rulers. At that time, a fairy land on earth will appear, a country that has mastered the way of cultivation and the way of technology. The secular power cooperates with the power of technology, and cooperates with the power of the cultivation of various officials. A perfect ruling organization will be hatched in his hands. Thinking of this beautiful prospect, he couldn't help but take a deep breath, and the whole person was a little excited. The impulse in his heart, his eyes flashed with endless ambition. I must become the existence that truly dominates destiny. One day in the future, I will turn this fairy land on earth into an eternal dynasty, and all the land will belong to the king. Something called ambition burned like wildfire in Tang Shenz's heart. No one can resist this temptation, and a road to heaven has slowly unfolded under his feet. All he needs to do is climb up step by step, hiding from everyone's sight. When he successfully stepped into the position of Prime Minister, it was his time to make a splash. At this time, no one knew that Tang Shenzi had such ambitions in his heart, and even in the eyes of those big men, he was just a dispensable chess piece. In the mysterious space where the Weird Association is located. On a towering stargazing tower, the president of the Weird Association has a solemn look in his eyes. His unique power makes him feel a little change in the future. Hey, the future seems to be getting more and more blurred. It seems that a new force is rising, disrupting the development of the future. The power of the weird beings is coming, and the new power is emerging. Is this the resistance of the Red Lotus realm? Allowing a new force to strike the existence of the other world. Then this force must have its own particularity, so it will be recognized by the entire Red Lotus realm. What kind of power is it? Thinking of this, a trace of solemnity flashed in his eyes, because in the observation of the future, he noticed some problems. As this power grows, the weird side and the cultivation path are weakening. Obviously, this power will slowly absorb the power of the weird side and the cultivation path. A trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. It's really interesting. It seems that we must find the source of this power. The torrent of the world is irreversible, but as long as it can be replaced, the world will not care who becomes the source of this power. The world is composed of lack of consciousness, which is both an advantage and a disadvantage. Even if you get the attention of the world, as long as you are replaced, all the fruits will become mine. This operation has been done many times. Then wait for you to show up, let me see who you are. Thinking of this, an order has been passed down. Soon, the power belonging to the Weird Association in the Red Lotus realm received a message. Monitor any forces that suddenly appear. These forces are characterized by mystery, vitality, or power that has never been seen before, and everything goes smoothly without much difficulty. Obviously, these characteristics are the product of induction and summary. The members of the Weird Association who received this information began to quickly explore cities one by one, using their own means and power. Honglian City, in an antique building. A man who was playing the piano with both hands also received the message. Taken Lun, a genius of the Weird Association. Looking at the notice from the headquarters, a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. Hey, is the teacher looking for the son of destiny of this era? The son of destiny after the world changes. This is a bit unusual. Does the teacher want to replace him? Use the old method. Taken Lun looked a little serious. According to his knowledge, this matter might not be that simple. But you can look for it first. Thinking of this, a bell appeared in his hand, which exuded a faint strange power. Marking bell. This bell has a very magical effect. It can mark the target. As long as the bell is shaken, the target will hear the sound of the bell and know that someone is calling them. After shaking the bell, Taken Lun slowly put the bell away. Time passed by minute, and one figure after another appeared in his area in various ways. When someone arrived, it was a shadow, and then became a real person. Some people emerged from the ground, some walked out of a twisted space, and some floated in like a piece of smoke, eventually turning into human forms. About 30 people came here one after another. They gathered in front of Taken Lun and looked at him quietly. Taken Lun locked his eyes on them, and then said, "The news from the president is that you are looking for a new force. This force may be one person or a group of people. Once they show their power, they will definitely be unusual. You must pay careful attention to such people. Observe all emerging forces, then monitor and report on them. The area we are responsible for is Red Lotus City. You know?" "Yes, sir." "Then go down." Watching one figure after another quickly disappear before his eyes, Taken Lun's eyes showed a trace of solemnity. "I hope it won't be as I guessed." After thinking for a while, he slowly closed his eyes and began to play the piano with both hands. Wisp after wisp of strange power burst out from the sound of the piano, transforming into various strange images around him. One moment it seems like gods and demons, another moment it seems like the natural world, and the next moment it becomes 18 levels of hell, or it turns into gods and Buddhas all over the sky. His music is like a creator creating everything. At this time, the forces belonging to the strange associations in each city began to take action, carefully searching for the newly emerging forces in each city. Secret and quiet, not noticed by anyone. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 384. If it were an ordinary force, there would definitely be countless spies, but on the weird side, there would never be any spies. Strange power contains wonderful characteristics, and the functions of various strange objects are even more complicated and magical. There is no shortage of powers that can identify spies, and many of them involve cause and effect, order, and almost unsolvable weird things. Once you enter some weird side forces as a spy, you will be found immediately and there is no way to hide your whereabouts. Therefore, although weird side will convey orders internally in a big way, no one outside can notice it at all. At this time, 3 people in the everything room have arrived. Yin Gong Shirley, Yan Menjao, and Yin Shui Li arrived here one after another. In a room on the 2nd floor, Lin Yi served hot tea and entertained the 3 of them with a smile on his face. Here is a vacant bedroom with a table and 4 chairs. There is a cup of hot tea in front of everyone on the table. 4 people sat on chairs and looked at each other. Lin Yi smiled slightly and said, "The 3 of us who came today seem to be interested in trading." As he spoke, he took out a box from his arms, placed it on the table and slowly opened it. 10 crystals shining with dreamlike brilliance appeared in front of the 3 people. Just listen to Lin Yi say, "This is pure soul material. Based on the price you provide, I will weigh how many to sell to you." Surely Sakuragong looked at Lin Yi and said slowly, "How about you tell us your needs first, and we will prepare what you want for you." Lin Yi heard this, thought for a while, nodded and said, "First of all, I want the skills of Ghost Immortal Dao and above, as well as information about these realms. The technique is not limited to any section. Secondly, I need pills or items that are helpful in practicing the Ghost Immortal way. Or the various magic weapons and treasures that can be used in the Ghost Immortal way. It is best to have long distance movement and strong defense capabilities." Lin Yi now had 2 attack treasures in his hand, one of which was the destruction cane, and the other was the mountain suppressing seal. These 2 items are basically for attacking, but what he needs more now are defensive treasures. In terms of movement, he also has a space-time canvas, which allows him to remain free at close range, making it difficult for anyone to chase him. The above is what I want to exchange. Hearing Lin Yi's request, they all frowned. Whether it is skills, elixirs or magic weapons, they are not simple things, especially those that need to be used in the realm of ghosts, immortals, and above. Basically, they were valuable treasures, but they had to sigh when they thought about the instructions from their superiors. Soul matter is too attractive to them. Because this is something that has never been extracted alone, although the forces behind them have been studying methods to extract soul matter for a long time, there has been no result. Yinswili thought for a while and said, "There are a lot of materials in the Empire on techniques and research. I can make the decision to provide you with 3 techniques at the Ghost Immortal Dao level. Among them is the powerful Vajra Wisdom technique, which is in the same line as the powerful Vajra Seal technique you practice. The other 2 techniques are techniques passed down from other sects collected by the Empire, plus the Empire's research data on ghost immortality." Lin Yi Vinyan nodded. The techniques and research materials of the 3 ghost immortal ways can be exchanged for a piece of soul material. Hearing this, a sharp glint flashed in Yinswili's eyes. "Only one? Mr. Lin, this is a bit of a lion's mouth." Lin Yi smiled and said, "I only use the techniques of Ghost Immortal Dao as a reference. In addition to the powerful King Kong wisdom method you provided, do you think I can use the other 2 techniques? So giving you a crystal of soul material is already a very good deal. In comparison, I value the Empire's research data more. Otherwise, I don't want to exchange just 3 books of cultivation techniques." Yinswili turned around and thought, it was indeed what Lin Yi said. Without the foundation of the corresponding exercises, it is impossible to practice these exercises, which means that other exercises can only be used as reference. At this time, Lin Yi said again, "Furthermore, the information on the Ghost Immortal Way studied by the Imperial Martial Arts Research Institute should be a dirty thing among you. As long as you reach a certain level, you should be able to access it, so the value of this thing is not that high. Together these things together will give you a soul crystal. In fact, it's my loss." Hearing this, Yinswili had no choice. What Lin Yi said was not wrong at all, nor was there any exaggeration. It was completely matter of fact. Even he himself knew that he had made a profit, and he kept silent when he thought about it. At this time, Sakuragong surely looked at Lin Yi and said, "I have 2 bottles of elixirs here, one is the 7 souls spiritual pill, and the other is the 3 souls true water. There are a total of 7 soul spiritual pills. As long as you swallow each one, you can refine it into a soul. After 7 pills, you will naturally become a 7 soul realm. 3 souls true water, There are 3 paths in total. Each path can be trained to become one soul. The 3 paths are the gathering of 3 souls. These 2 bottles of elixirs can directly allow you to step into the peak realm of the 2nd level of Ghost Immortal Deo. Lin Yivinian nodded, I'll give you 2 bottles of soul material for these 2 bottles of elixir. 1 level of Ghost Immortal Deo is worth 1. Surely Sakuramiya nodded, okay. Lin Yi finally looked at Yan Menjeo, who smiled slightly and said, these 2 have brought out a lot of things. It seems that our hospital only has some blood. I'll give you a strange item, a stand-in puppet. This strange item has only one function. It can protect you from all life dangers in the world. Whether it's the rate of cause and effect, the rate of time and space, or the energy and substance of fate, there are all known and unknown dangers. As long as these dangers come to you and you don't react, you will be seriously injured or die directly. All your deaths and serious injuries will be directly transferred to this stand-in puppet. Then you're back to peak performance in a split second, and that's something that can really save your life. Replacing all damage, as long as you have it, you can definitely save your life. Lin Yi couldn't help being shocked when he heard this. This is a good thing. Although I have true destiny, I am not truly invincible. You can ignore everything only when you have to use it. If I am attacked by a sneak attack or hit hard when I don't react, it will be useless to use true life at that time. Thinking of this, a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. This thing is really powerful. I'll give you 3 soul substances. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 385. When Yan Menjeo heard Lin Yi's offer, a smile appeared on her lips, okay. With this exchange value, Yan Menjeo's mission has basically been completed. The above requirement also requires her to bring at least 3 soul substances back. At this time, Yin Swili couldn't sit still. The other 2 people took 2 or 3 pieces of soul matter, and now there are 4 pieces left. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. He had to get at least 2 more. He looked at Lin Yi and said, Mr. Lin, I have 2 more things here that you should be very interested in. Lin Yi looked at him, waiting for his answer. This is a pair of love bells. Its function is very simple. It is divided into male and female bells. You can put the female bell in one place and then carry the male bell with you. If you are hunted somewhere in the future, all you have to do is ring this bell. In an instant, under the power of the mother bell, it will be pulled back to the place where the mother bell is stored, regardless of any limitations of distance, time, space, and cause and effect. This is the most powerful way to save life, especially when going out. Even if you are trapped in a desperate situation, you can return instantly. This is one of the collections of the Weird Management Office. There is only this pair in the entire Red Lotus world. Lin Yi's eyes showed a hint of surprise when he heard this. This thing made him think of a completely new use, ignoring the limitations of time and space. If he integrates the male bell into the House of Everything, the female bell is placed in a world where the House of Everything was once connected. He can use the power of this mother bell to make the entire Wanchaiwa directly travel through infinite time and space to another world. Especially when the bell is placed in the House of Everything, it will become part of the House of Everything, and it may undergo some kind of change. A hope suddenly rose in his heart, the hope of crossing the world and leaving the Red Lotus realm. At this time, he felt a little excited in his heart. The words of the mysterious existence from the unknown world he was connected to last time kept lingering in his mind. He was very worried that the destruction of the Red Lotus world would lead to him being buried with it. Moving the black slate of thatched house, there is still no sign that it can be moved across borders. This mysterious acacia bell may give birth to hope. He nodded solemnly, this thing is really good, 2 pieces of soul matter. After harvesting 3 pieces of soul material, a smile appeared on Yin Shueli's deadly face. At this time, there was a trace of thought in Shirley Sakuramiya's eyes, and she slowly said, then I will come up with something else. The lotus divine jade, this thing can be incorporated into the soul. It can resist the invasion of external demons and the proliferation of inner demons, ensuring that you avoid going crazy when practicing the realm of ghosts and immortals. When Lin Yi heard this, his eyes suddenly lit up. As soon as he heard about this thing, he knew that it was a spiritual treasure similar to the Aquarius seal. Thinking of the strange phenomena involving the spiritual level that I encountered several times in the Wanchaiwu View, I couldn't help but feel nervous. As the Wanchaiwu View becomes more and more powerful, more terrifying monsters are bound to appear in the future. If there is a strange existence where all the power is concentrated on the spiritual level, he may not be able to survive simply by relying on the Aquarius seal. The treasure proposed by Shirley Sakuramiya could greatly enhance his mental protection. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but nodded and said, "This thing is also very good, in exchange for 2 pieces of soul material." So far, all 10 pieces of soul material have been exchanged, and Lin Yi has also gained a huge harvest. Looking at the 3 of them, Lin Yi said, "First the villain, then the gentleman. You bring the things, and we will pay and deliver them." Yinswili nodded and said, "My things have to go to the Weird Management office and go through the process. It will be delivered in about 3 days. Yan Menjao said, "My things can arrive tomorrow." Shirley Sakuramiya smiled slightly, "My things can be delivered in the evening." Lin Yi nodded, "Okay, then let's deliver the goods separately. I will be in the store these days and will not leave. You can rest assured." The 3 of them left one after another, and Lin Yi's eyes showed a hint of joy. This time, there were too many unexpected surprises. He felt that he had underestimated the status of soul material in the minds of these forces. But there are good and bad things today. Although I got a lot of things in a short period of time, I'm afraid someone will keep an eye on me. If soul matter is really so important in their minds, they will definitely try their best to find a way to extract soul matter. Thinking of this, his eyes showed a trace of solemnity. It seems that I have to be more careful recently and not leave the Wanchaiwu View easily. Even if there is a person at the peak of the ghost immortal Dao here, I am sure to kill him here. 3 days flew by. Yinswili, Yinggongswili, and Yan Menjao have already delivered the promised things to Lin Yi, and they have also obtained enough soul material. Their deal ends here. In the past 3 days, Lin Yi did not go out at all and stayed in the Wanchaiwu room very cautiously. At this time, he was sitting in his bedroom, looking at some things placed in front of him. Research materials on the Ghost Immortal Way of the Martial Arts Research Institute. Powerful Vajra Wisdom Method. 9 Nether Demon Sutra. 9 Heavens Black Ice. A pair of acacia bells, a bottle of 7 soul pills, 3 parts of 3 souls true water, and a piece of lotus divine jade. Looking at these 8 items, Lin Yi deeply realized the great attraction of soul material. At the same time, he also became extremely vigilant. It seems that the attraction of this thing is far beyond my imagination. Maybe there will be trouble soon. Thinking in his heart, his eyes fell on the research materials of Ghost Immortal Dao. What he needs to do now is to understand the secrets of the entire Ghost Immortal Dao in detail. Sitting in the bedroom, he began to read the materials of Ghost Immortal Dao page by page. Soon he understood what this Ghost Immortal Dao was all about. The 7 souls mirror is divided into 7 layers, and each layer will condense a soul. The first layer becomes a swallowing thief. This layer is after the spirit merges with the soul, absorbs a wisp of Dan Qi, and then turns into a swallowing thief, which can swallow the invisible evil air from the outside. This evil air is an indescribable breath that can cause harm to the human body. The second layer is a corpse dog. This layer is also the fusion of Dan Qi and spiritual soul. After condensing the corpse dog, it can sense the world level that humans cannot perceive. The third layer is for removing filth. This layer is also a combination of Dan Qi and spiritual soul, condensing the spirit of removing filth. The ability of the soul is to remove the invisible filth produced by the human body every day. This is a kind of breath that is harmful to the human body when the human body dies, decomposes, and acts in the process of survival. The fourth layer is lung odor. It is also a combination of Dan Qi and spiritual soul. The power of the spirit of lung odor will penetrate the whole human body. Its function is to filter the filth from the outside world and prevent them from entering the human body. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 386. The fifth layer of Bird Yin is a soul formed after the combination of elixir energy and spiritual soul. Its function is to lock the foundation of the human body. Men are yang energy, and women are yin energy. As long as a person is born, his foundation will be a little bit dissipate bit by bit, until the final death, the yang qi or yin qi dissipates completely. The sixth level is non-poison. Practicing martial arts, absorbing external essence and running in the body will always produce damage that humans cannot observe. Non-poison can penetrate into every corner of the human body, clean out all damage, and repair them all. Let the human body achieve true perfection. The seventh level Fuya leads the seven souls, and finally the seven souls completely converge and condense into the center of one body. After the seven souls are condensed, the range of Taoism can cover an area of 5 meters, and the combat power will be greatly improved. After the seven souls are condensed, they can hit the three-soul realm. The three souls are divided into Yijing, Xuanling and Figuang. The ghost essence absorbs the condensed earth energy and can leave the body and enter any spiritual time and space, a level that humans cannot observe. At the same time, the degree of absorption of the vitality of heaven and earth will be greatly increased. Xuanling is achieved by gathering the power of the 5 elements of the human body, and the absorption of vitality between heaven and earth will still increase. Fetal light absorbs the pure and peaceful energy of the 9 heavens, controls one's own life, prevents all diseases from occurring, and prevents external evils from invading. Its own lifespan will condense into longevity. When the longevity is exhausted, life will cease, and it controls the vitality of heaven and earth to continue to increase. When the three souls gather together, the maximum range of Taoism can cover an area of 10 meters. The third level of Soul Realm. The Soul Realm is divided into 3 stages. The first stage is the Tao Palace. In this realm, 3 souls and 7 souls condense into one body and hit the sea of spirit to cast the Tao Palace and station the souls. In the second stage of the 3 calamities, after surviving the 3 calamities of wind, fire, and thunder, the 3 souls and 7 souls are refined and become one. The third stage, the soul realm, has passed the 3 disasters, and the soul is unified into the Yuanfei soul and condensed thoughts. The coverage range of soul thoughts is 15 meters, and the lifespan can reach 200 years. At this level, the soul can travel thousands of miles a day, regardless of day or night. It can also leave the body, control magic weapons, absorb the energy of heaven and earth to increase the power of Taoism and magic weapons, and move up and down Qingming. Although purely in terms of power, the power of Taoist magic or magical weapons caused by pure souls will not be much different from the ultimate realm of human immortality. However, the way of ghosts and immortals can come and go freely and span the world, which is incomparable to the way of humans and immortals. When facing the existence of ghost immortals, ordinary masters of human immortals will almost be beaten to death as long as the opponent attacks from a distance. Therefore, Ghost Immortal Dao is a very terrifying existence, and basically all physical attacks have no effect on them. After reading the basic introduction to the Ghost Immortal Way, Lin Yi had a clear understanding of the power of the Ghost Immortal Way. At this time, he continued to read this research material and looked up more information about the Ghost Immortal Way. This information is the conclusion reached by the Imperial Research Institute after countless experiments and analytical studies. The first is the explanation of the condensation of the seven souls. According to the conclusion of the Imperial Research Institute, the so-called spirit is the product of practitioners absorbing and extracting the soul material inside the human body. The so-called alchemy energy is the most essential essence in the pill. Its purity far exceeds that of ordinary essence, and it is even connected to the life of the cultivator. If a cultivator loses a ray of elixir energy, it is equivalent to losing part of his life, and it will even be directly reflected on the outside, showing signs of aging. The soul material condensed into spirit must be divided into 10 parts, corresponding to the 7 souls and the 3 souls respectively. Generally speaking, the ghost immortal way can be divided into 13 levels, which is a complete system for condensing souls. The first 10 layers are composed of 3 souls and 7 souls, each of which has a corresponding special structure. This structure is universal. Whether it is the righteous path or the devil's path, the basic structure of their souls is the same. According to research by the Imperial Research Institute, this is the basic structure spread by unknown beings in a distant and unknown era. Some legends say that the founders of all Dharma came to the conclusion after research, and some legends say that it was given by heaven. The techniques of each sect only add something to this foundation, so that their 3 souls and 7 souls are closer to a certain kind of power, which makes them different from other sects. For example, the Vajra wisdom method in his hands is in the same vein as the Vajra seal method he practiced, and was passed down from the Vajra Zen way. After condensing the soul, the energy in the void that is mobilized has the same attribute. If a person at the peak of the ghost immortal way has his soul in his body, and uses the body of the human immortal way to fuse the power of the soul and mobilize the energy between heaven and earth, he can exert up to twice the terrifying power of the human immortal way. Basically, it will be a crushing outcome for any immortal master. If the soul leaves the body, its pure peak combat power can only remain at the peak level of human immortality, but the ability to move freely across the world will still allow the existence of this realm to maintain an advantage. This is the reason why the ghost immortal Deo completely surpasses the human immortal Deo in combat power. This research material has also deeply studied, after condensing the 3 souls and 7 souls, what is the filth and evil that is eliminated. Although there are no accurate results, according to the Institute's data, these 2 things seem to be related to the entire world. Bad energy is a destructive force that permeates the entire world. It is everywhere. It is born from the original nature of heaven and earth. It will automatically enter the body of life. It will invisibly weaken the lifespan and essence of life little by little, and eventually, when the evil air is enough, it will lead to death. And the evil air is something that is naturally produced as time goes by in the process of life's survival in this world. This is an indescribable thing, a very evil and filthy thing. It will only be produced from life. When life dies, it will be released into the air and permeate the entire world. And this kind of evil air will not dissipate. It will also invade the living body like the evil air, and eventually cause the evil air in the living body to continue to grow, making the living body more and more angry, irritable, dull, stupid, etc. It will affect all aspects of life, a very strange thing. And the concentration of the 3 souls and 7 spirits can sweep away these 2 things, making the human body pure and transparent as a gem. According to the research of the Imperial Research Institute, the purpose of practitioners is to live forever. And the human body will automatically go to death since birth, and the erosion of various foul air and evil air will accelerate the arrival of this death. Once one reaches the ghost immortal path through spiritual practice, this erosion will be completely eliminated, restoring the human body to its original state, the state of a baby's innate fetal breathing. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 387. Lifespan will condense into longevity light, and the human body will perfectly survive to the extreme of life itself. Only time can consume lifespan, and humans will take back the lifespan they originally deserve. This is the ultimate will of fighting for life with heaven and practicing Taoism. Seeing this, Ling Yi already has a very detailed understanding of the ghost immortal Dao. Continuing to watch the data of the research institute, he wanted to see if the empire had studied anything that needed attention. Another hour later, Lin Yi closed the research data. The empire also had some results in the study of the ghost immortal Dao. Some problems that may arise in each realm are also explained. For example, in the process of condensing the 3 souls and 7 spirits, humans will encounter various mysterious forces from the heart or the outside world. This kind of power was called external demons and inner demons in the past. External demons are an invisible force from the outside world. Once the human body condenses the spirit, it will appear from time to time, disrupting people's normal cognition, and even seriously causing people to fall into madness or even commit suicide. The inner demons are the countless instincts in human consciousness, which will always appear from time to time in the process of condensing the 3 souls and 7 spirits. These instincts will be infinitely magnified after the 3 souls and spirits are condensed, because the 3 souls and 7 spirits are more sensitive to the outside world, and acceleration will amplify their own instincts. Originally, after entering the peak of the human immortal path, the cultivator will no longer be troubled by instincts. Because the body is completely under control, but after the 3 souls and 7 spirits are condensed, although the instincts are still under complete control. But the sharpness of the soul will amplify this instinct, and the slightest joy, sadness, happiness, and even the feeling of comfort will greatly impact the 3 souls and 7 spirits, making people indulge in this feeling. In the end, the cultivator will sink in this feeling, or be happy, sad, or crazy, and finally go to self-destruction. In the face of this kind of internal and external demons, the Imperial Research Institute has no good way to defend. The only way is a very ancient way: 3 days of self-reflection, and be alert to the appearance of internal and external demons at any time and anywhere. Or some mysterious scriptures for cultivating the mind. Relying on training one's pure will to resist the sharp impact of the soul, it is also a kind of tempering of one's own willpower. Seeing this, Lin Yi was a little alert in his heart. He likes money very much and will be very happy when he sees money. This situation is nothing when he is in the human immortal path, but once he really steps into the realm of 3 souls and 7 spirits, it will be very dangerous. According to research data, only after the last 3 souls and 7 spirits have experienced the baptism of the 3 disasters, condensed into one, and gave birth to the will, the impact of the inner demon will be greatly weakened. Because the will is a kind of condensation of willpower, it will be able to completely control the various emotions generated by one's soul, thereby resisting the impact of the inner demon. The entire ghost immortal path is a system of condensing souls and has a complete solution for promotion. The path of cultivation seeks to be free and unrestrained, not controlled by any force. These problems of the soul will naturally be solved in continuous practice. However, the inner and outer demons will not completely disappear, but will be weakened a lot. But if one day the soul is seriously injured, then these inner demons may come back. After seeing these, Lin Yi was thoughtful. This way of cultivation is really terrifying. After entering the ghost immortal path, the slightest carelessness will result in death. I don't know how many people can resist their instincts. Thinking of this, he was a little afraid of quickly improving the ghost immortal path. But his eyes fell on the lotus divine jade on the table. This thing is specifically used to resist internal and external demons, and it seems to be just the right thing to deal with various dangers of the ghost immortal path. Thinking of this, he suddenly realized why Sakuramiya surely used this thing to exchange soul matter with him. I couldn't help but smile slightly. This is really a matching product, and the service is at home. Thank you for your favor. Some things are tacitly understood, and he already understood the other party's thoughts. There is no need for the other party to send him matching things, and it is the same to exchange with other things. This is obviously something that the other party sent him specifically for his situation. He sighed deeply. It seems that I have to repay her this debt of favor sometime. The friendship between gentlemen is as light as water. Although he and Sakura Miyaswili have not met for a long time, they have cooperated happily in several contacts and admired each other's vigorous and decisiveness. This time, the other party gave him another big gift, and he was still very happy. The information of the Imperial Martial Arts Research Institute ended here. As for whether there are any special methods or precautions in the process of cultivation, there is no more. Obviously, at the level of Ghost Immortal Deo, the Empire does not have enough Ghost Immortal Deo masters for them to study. For such a sophisticated practice system, countless samples are needed to study the specific situation and information. Without reaching the number, the Imperial Research Institute is already very powerful for being able to study so many things. As a person from China, he is very clear about the difficulty of scientific research. And studying supernatural mysterious phenomena is even more difficult. After putting down the information of the Imperial Research Institute, he opened the Great Vajra Wisdom Method. The brilliance of the true destiny explanation flashed in his eyes, and countless information in the scriptures rushed into his mind like water. In a short period of time, this countless information constructed all the mysteries of this scripture in his mind. The basic cultivation methods in this book are actually almost the same as those introduced by the Imperial Research Institute. The only difference is that there will be some changes in the basic structure to adapt to the energy properties of this lineage. The real change is after the condensation of the original fetal soul. At that time, the root itself can change by absorbing external energy according to different energies. This change is called Dharma phase change, which may be different in each sect. If you practice this Great Vajra Wisdom Method, you can eventually absorb external energy and become a four-armed Vajra. This four-armed Vajra has four arms that can form three kinds of seals: the Great Wisdom Seal, the Great Vajra Seal, and the Great Nirvana Seal. Each of these three seals has different effects. Among them, the Great Wisdom Seal can stabilize one's own soul and resist attacks that are several times stronger than one's own soul. It can also use spiritual attacks to defeat the enemy's soul. The Great Nirvana Seal is a Taoist method of killing and killing. It is a mysterious force of annihilation. Once hit, it will cause the lifespan to weaken, the body to lose vitality, and eventually die. The Great Vajra Seal is an equally terrifying method. It can bless the body of a human immortal, absorb the mysterious golden energy in the air, and make the body temporarily become an indestructible Vajra body. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 388. Ji Yi still doesn't know how high the defense power of this immortal body can be raised, but he feels it will definitely not be small. After reading this book, The Wisdom Seal of the Powerful Vajra, he had a clearer understanding of the cultivation of ghosts and immortals. He can even start practicing at any time. However, he was not in a hurry, and his eyes fell on the other two cultivation methods. One of them, the 9 Netherworld Demon Sutra, its previous cultivation method is still not much different from the powerful Vajra Wisdom method, but there is a huge difference in the manifestation of the method. After its completion, the 9 Nether Demon Sutra evolved into a dark river, which seemed to be the legendary mysterious river located in Juyu. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Any being involved in it will lose its lifespan under the power of the river and eventually die. This is a very terrifying change. It is endless and can naturally undergo various changes. In addition, it has the terrifying property of shortening lifespan, making it impossible for ordinary practitioners to reach it. After reading this scripture, his eyes fell on the last scripture. 9 Heavens Black Ice is the legendary #1 defensive skill in the world. There will be no difference in the front of this technique, and the final focus is still on the final change. Jushan Xianbing will form a huge ice world with a radius of 10 meters. In this world, any matter will be frozen, and even time will slow down. In this environment, the combat power of warriors who practice this lineage will be greatly increased. First of all, their defense will be greatly improved. The cold will make their black ice armor stronger and even indestructible. Just imagining it, Lin Yi felt the terror of this technique. He couldn't help but take a deep breath. Fortunately, I have the source of my true life and can transform any technique without leaving any trace. I'm afraid no one will think that I can cast several different techniques by myself. Thinking of this, he felt a kind of excitement in his heart, as if he had seen his enemy's expression of disbelief and shock when he saw himself transforming various forms at will and displaying completely different powers. He took a deep breath and suppressed the joy in his heart. His eyes fell on several other things. The first thing he noticed was the lotus jade. He slowly stretched out his hand and picked it up. Spiritual waves and essence are injected into it, and all efforts are made to refine this piece of sacred jade. At the same time, it is also inspected to prevent any danger. Although Sakuramiya surely probably wouldn't do this, she must not have the intention to harm others and must be defensive. Maybe he doesn't want to, but the master behind her may not necessarily think so, so he must be completely sure that there is no risk in this thing. Lingbo is a wonderful power. Until now, Lin Yi didn't know what kind of power it absorbed and transformed into. The strange power he absorbs will directly light up the lotus hand seal, but what actually increases is the upper limit of the spiritual wave. But after each spiritual wave was consumed, during the recovery process, he did not feel that his divine seal absorbed any other power at all. These spiritual waves seemed to appear out of thin air, quickly restoring his strength. It all seemed so mysterious. Its spiritual wave also has the characteristic of reacting to any force that is malicious towards him. Whether it is essence, strange power, or resentment, as long as the source is malicious towards him, it will be sensed. Therefore, it is almost impossible to plot against him. Soon the entire lotus jade was completely refined by him, and there was no other malicious force inside. Only this lotus jade itself contains a wonderful solid energy. During the refining process, he was surprised to discover a problem. This lotus jade was not a substance, but a mysterious solid energy. The brilliance of the true interpretation of life flashed, and he immediately began to observe the most basic structure of this lotus jade. This lotus jade looks like a real lotus on the surface, but it is only the size of a palm and is very delicate. It consists of 9 green leaves and 9 layers of white lotus platform. It looks exactly like the Buddhist lotus platform, very solemn and solemn. Under the observation of Zhenming Daija, Lin Yi was surprised to discover one thing. The lotus jade was a whole. Its basic structure is the lotus, which is not composed of particles like the energy from the outside. He couldn't believe that there was such a huge indivisible pure substance in this world. You must know that objects in any world can be divided for only one reason. Because these substances are composed of countless particles, the so-called division is just to stop the particles from gathering together. But the lotus jade in front of me is completely different. A lotus is a whole substance. It is an indivisible thing. This is beyond any physical knowledge that Lin Yi has ever learned. In other words, this thing can be regarded as the strongest thing in the world. The reason why any substance is strong is that the distance between the particles that make up the substance is so small that it is impossible for other substances to separate these particles. Only matter that is so small that it is indivisible is the strongest thing in the world. Because nothing can divide indivisible particles, this is a basic physical rule that no one can break. Lin Yi was shocked by the characteristics of the lotus god jade. At this moment, his mind moved, and the lotus god jade had flowed into his body like an illusory object. The next moment, it appeared at the feet of the illusory figure deep in his heart. That was his condensed spirit. Now he realized that he had not yet condensed a real soul. His spirit absorbed the soul material to achieve a stronger spirit. To condense the soul, it is necessary to extract the most fundamental Dan Qi in the pill. After the divine jade lotus came to the feet of his spirit, it was immediately connected with his spirit. Lin Yi immediately felt that his spirit was shrouded in a coolness. It was like being in a refreshing spring. The whole person became 100% clear-headed, and the countless distracting thoughts in his head disappeared in an instant, as if they had never existed. This effect is too powerful. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes, and his eyes looked at the remaining things. First, the puppet substitute. With the infusion of spiritual waves, the name of the puppet instantly appeared in Ling Yi's mind. Life substitute. He could feel that he had a mysterious connection with the puppet. In the dark, the life substitute extended a force that enveloped him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 389. Lin Yi immediately knew that this power was the secret of this life substitute. When he endured the power of death level, this substitute would bear all the damage for him. This was an instinctive enlightenment, and he was thinking. He put the puppet in his arms and looked at the acacia bell. The spiritual wave was injected and the thing was quickly refined. He quickly understood its function in his mind. This thing can't be used for the time being. I have to wait until the next time the power of the wish shrine is connected to the unknown world before I can try it. If the attempt fails, this thing will be useless. However, thinking that he could leave the Red Lotus realm, Lin Yi didn't feel sorry for its loss. After all, once he succeeded, he could escape from this dangerous world. Putting down the acacia bell in his hand again, Lin Yi finally digested all the gains this time. Then the next step is to condense the first level of the Seven Souls realm and try it. Thinking of this, Lin Yi sat cross-legged on the bed, and the true life source was activated. Instantly, all the skills were transformed into the essence of the Vajraseal method, and at the same time, the essence quickly began to operate according to the method of the Seven Souls realm of the Vajra wisdom method. Along with the operation of the method, the essence quickly formed a wonderful force field, and more soul matter diffused from the body and floated towards the force field core of the head. The soul matter was quickly integrated into the spirit, and at this time Lin Yi began to use his spirit to construct the first soul of the Seven Souls realm according to the records in the Vajra wisdom method. As time passed, Lin Yi's spirit began to change. A strange structure appeared in his mind under his control. When this structure was completely formed and stable, he slowly opened his eyes. He took out a Seven Souls pill from in front of him and swallowed it into his stomach. As the pill entered his stomach, a magical force surged out of it and rushed directly to his brain. Like an invisible torrent, it directly filled the spirit. This torrent wrapped around the mysterious structure in Lin Yi's spirit, creating a mysterious huge suction force. This suction force was very strange, directly covering Lin Yi's Lingqi Danwan, causing the entire Danwan to jump unconsciously. This jumping was caused by the attraction of a mysterious breath inside the Danwan. The true life source was running, and Lin Yi immediately grasped the source of this breath. This was the power in the deepest part of the Danwan, a kind of essential power. He could feel that this essence was connected to his life. Once this ray of Dankai was consumed, his life would also be affected. He immediately understood that this was Dankai. With a thought, Dankai had rushed out of the single pill and rushed directly to the spirit in his mind. Rumble. An explosion like a roar sounded in his mind. An illusory figure walked out of the spirit. This illusory figure had a nose and eyes, exactly like Lin Yi. The only difference was that he looked very illusory, like an illusion. At this time, the illusion was rapidly stabilizing, and the structure formed by Dankai and spirit, as well as the invisible torrent of the elixir, quickly merged, and finally completely merged into one. The first of the 7 souls, the swallowing thief. As the first soul took shape, it immediately emitted a hazy illusory wave, which enveloped Lin Yi's whole body. A trace of invisible mysterious air was driven out of Lin Yi's body. A kind of spiritual comfort spread rapidly, and Lin Yi felt that his body seemed to become more relaxed, and something heavy was driven out of his body. This is the phenomenon of evil spirit being driven out, and he thought about it in his heart. This is the characteristic of the power of the soul. This invisible force seems to be able to attract the energy of heaven and earth. Slowly opening his eyes, Lin Yi extended his right hand. At this time, he did not use his essence, but a mysterious wave rushed out of the swallowing thief and covered his arm. Countless golden lights in the air around him quickly spread to his palm. In the blink of an eye, these golden lights turned into a palm-sized light floating on his palm. Feeling this light, Ling Yi roughly estimated that it was about equal to 1% of the essence content in his body. After thinking about it, the energy in his body turned and quickly covered the entire palm. At the same time, the golden light on his palm seemed to be attracted by the energy and quickly covered his palm. Resonated with the energy in his body. At this time, he mobilized about 15% of the energy in his body, which was the maximum power output that his body could withstand. But with the resonance of about 1% of the energy in the outside world, the upper limit of the power he used at this time reached 16% of the energy. This is the increase of the first soul, and he immediately understood it. That is to say, every time you condense a soul, you can basically increase the external energy attraction by 1%. If you condense all the 3 souls and 7 souls, you can increase it by 10%. If the soul and soul return to the peak of the soul realm, the absorption capacity of external energy will be increased to 15%. Combined with the energy output of the human immortal path itself, it is 30% of the maximum power. This output is really terrifying. What if it is combined with my true life source? Thinking of this, Ling Yi's heart moved. The true life source was activated in an instant. Countless energies from all around were attracted and instantly gathered towards him. There are countless kinds of energy, but under his control, all of them turned into the same power as the great Vajra wisdom law. These powers enveloped his right arm again, and the pure power and the energy pulled by the swallowing thief were perfectly integrated, and at the same time resonated with the essence in Lin Yi's arm. The true source of life was pulling endlessly, and more energy was attached to his arm. But after just a few seconds, he felt a pain in his arm. He knew that this was the power he could bear and had reached the limit. The light of the true destiny solution flashed, and he quickly looked at his right arm and observed the energy ratio. First of all, the upper limit of the output of the essence in the body is still 15%. Secondly, the energy pulled by the corpse dog is about 1%. And the power pulled by the source of life is about 16%. In general, the power enveloped by the right arm at this time is equivalent to 32% of all the essence in his body. This is a very amazing number, which has directly reached the conventional combat limit of the peak existence of the ghost fairy. The conventional combat here refers to the use of pure martial arts to determine the winner without the use of magic tools or Taoist methods. He took a deep breath, and he had a rough idea of his current combat power. At this time, the earth seal slowly floated up in front of him, and Lin Yi raised his right hand and lightly tapped the magic weapon. All the power in his hand was transferred to the magic weapon. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 390. The essence was constantly injected, and soon reached its limit. After absorbing 20% of the essence in Lin Yi's body, it stopped absorbing more essence. At this time, under the infusion of the true life source power, the surface of the earth suppressing seal also absorbed 20% of the energy. The magic weapon seemed to have reached its limit and became like a delicate hill, only the size of a palm. At this time, the power of this magic weapon was about 40% of the essence concentration in Lin Yi's body. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward arrow. Seeing this scene, Lin Yi's swallowing thief spirit quickly floated out of his body and enveloped this magic weapon. A feeling of being able to use his fingers and arms appeared in his heart, and at this time this magic weapon seemed to have become his hands and feet. At the same time, he tried to use his swallowing thief spirit to attract more energy. At this time, this magic weapon was enveloped by Lin Yi's swallowing thief spirit, and it seemed to gradually produce some wonderful changes. At the core of the magic weapon, those complicated core patterns, after coming into contact with the devouring thief spirit, rapidly underwent a miraculous change. All the essence and energy were instantly sucked into the magic weapon, and a transformation was carried out in the countless patterns and complicated structures. At this time, all the colors of the earth seal returned to their original state and turned into the original black. It became an exquisite seal, and a breath as heavy as a mountain permeated from it. This was a huge pressure on the spiritual level. Indistinctly, Lin Yi felt that his magic weapon seemed to have formed a certain resonance with the surrounding ground, and the power seemed to have increased. In Lin Yi's eyes, the light of the true destiny Dao flashed, and he instantly captured all the changes in the magic weapon and the surrounding space. Then he saw an amazing scene. The magic weapon exuded a wonderful wave, which resonated with the ground within a radius of 5 meters. The result of this resonance was that the ground power in this area would be integrated into the magic weapon in a wonderful form. Once the power of the magic weapon explodes, it is equivalent to the power of the magic weapon itself, plus the power of the ground in the area it affects. In layman's terms, this power includes the gravity and mass of the ground. He thought to himself that once the power of the magic weapon explodes, it is almost equivalent to the 45% concentration of his essence. At this moment, he suddenly understood a truth. So that's it? For the practitioners in this world, magic weapons are the most powerful weapons. Pure Taoism or martial arts have their limits, but once the magic weapon is integrated with the power of the soul, it will show its true power. The true power of the magic weapon does not refer to its own power, but to the fact that it can borrow external power to multiply or even several times the power of the magic weapon. In an instant, Lin Yi knew how important the magic weapon was to the practice of Taoism. He couldn't help but shook his head. Fortunately, I got a magic weapon, otherwise I would never know how terrifying it is. If you are ignorant of the existence of a magic weapon, you may not even know how you died. The power of the ghost immortal Dao can exert the true power of the magic weapon. How terrifying are the existences above the ghost immortal Dao. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel awe in his heart, because the sense of superiority and pride brought by the large number of human immortal puppets in the Wanqi house and his own summons disappeared instantly. This is only the condensation of the first soul. If all the 3 souls and 7 spirits are condensed, how powerful can the magic weapon be? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel silent in his heart, and the danger of the cultivation sect was quickly magnified by him. Especially, he thought of Xingyuezi, who had constant grievances with him. Last time, he made him escape with serious injuries, and the other party would definitely not let it go. If the other party hides somewhere, breaks through the peak of the ghost immortal Dao, and then prepares magic weapons to attack him, it will be very bad. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel a little horrified. This guy was born in a sect, so he must have a lot of magic weapons on him. The Taoist robe and flying sword in his hand last time were 2 magic weapons. If he drives the Taoist robe with the power of the ghost immortal Dao, I am afraid that if I want to break that kind of defense, I must rely on magic weapons to do it. It is impossible to do it with bare hands, and he can also use flying swords to attack me remotely. The iron wall is undefeated first, and then attack remotely, I will definitely lose. Thinking of this, he suddenly felt a huge sense of crisis in his heart. However, at this time, his eyes looked at the cane of destruction beside his bed, and he breathed a sigh of relief. At least I still have this thing, which destroys all visible and invisible substances. Even if it is a magic weapon, it can never stop this thing. In Lin Yi's view, strange things are similar to something unreasonable. It can work on any level of existence, and is almost not limited by any power level. He took a deep breath, and a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. At least it's not completely powerless to resist. But I still have to find a way to get some magic tools, or understand the principles of magic tools. Maybe I can make them myself. Or get more weird things. This thing is similar to magic tools but different. Thinking of this, he was eager to try, but at this moment he suddenly had an idea. Oh, that's not right. Why am I so nervous, scared and eager to try? It shouldn't be. Instantly he knew what had happened. Inner demon. Thinking of this, he was suddenly horrified, closed his eyes, and entered into a state of concentration. The next moment his consciousness entered his soul, and at this moment his devouring thief soul stood next to his spirit. He looked down and saw that wisps of black were appearing in his soul, constantly emerging from the soul itself. He immediately knew that something was wrong, and took a step forward, standing next to the spirit, and stepped on the lotus god jade. As his soul stood on the lotus god jade, a mysterious coolness suddenly enveloped his soul. The next moment, the black in his soul quickly faded, and the whole soul became illusory and clear again. Seeing this scene, Lin Yi breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, on the lotus god jade, there was a spiritual illusory body coiled, and next to it stood Lin Yi's devouring thief soul. The spiritual illusory body absorbs soul matter and condenses under the force field of the technique. The devouring thief soul is the product of the condensation of the spiritual illusory body and Dan Qi. It seems that condensing the 3 souls and 7 spirits is not such a simple matter. We must always pay attention to the danger of going astray. I have just practiced it, and this kind of trouble has come to me. What about those sects? How do they solve this problem? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but shake his head slightly. It seems that the way of cultivation is not such a simple matter. These sects still hide too many secrets.